Okay. Okay, we ready? Okay, let's call this board meeting to order. Stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Stumbled on that one. That makes, excuse me. Okay. Is it my understanding, well, let me read, first of all, we need to approve the prior meetings minutes. Do I have any motions?
I'll make a motion to approve prior meeting minutes.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that passes. And so we have a variance request. It's for code section 113-238, subparagraph D, for swimming pools, requesting a variance of 4'11" from the required 10-foot setback, resulting in a 5'1" setback from the south rear yard property line to the water's edge. We also have variance request for code section 113-238, subsection E, swimming pools, requesting a variance of 2 foot from the required 4-foot setback, required in a 2-foot setback from the south rear yard property line to the pool deck. Okay, the site address is 115 8th Avenue, Indialantic, Florida 32903, further described as lots 9 and 10, block 30, Indialantic by the Sea, parcel ID 27-38-31-E0-30-9. Applicant/owner is Eric, and excuse me if I butcher this, Kazakian and Maureen Banco. Okay, and the property owners, are they here?
They're not here, they're on a trip that they have to go take care of, so I'm the builder and I went to go meet with them.
Okay, please come forward, state your name and your address.
My name is Carl Brunison. My address is, you want my office or my personal?
What, the name of your company and
All right,
your
name of the company is
address.
Grounded Builds and we're downtown Melbourne.
Okay.
So my customer,
What is the address?
203 East New Haven Avenue, Melbourne.
Okay. Go ahead and state your purpose.
My customer originally had plans designed for their house, thinking that Indialantic had a 5-foot rear setback for water edge on pools. After telling them, they were obviously severely disappointed that it's 10. So I was just recommended that maybe we go for a variance and see if we can obtain somewhat of a normal pool in the backyard still. Obviously, moving the house is no longer an option since it's already up.
Was not part of the original plans?
No.
Okay, so it wasn't part, what was presented to the city when they started construction?
Just a house plotted on a survey.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay. Anything else?
That's all I have.
Okay. Go ahead and sit down. And look, up here we have public comment, and I'd like to keep the public comments down to 3 minutes. First, I have Linda Popovich, address 122 9th Avenue.
My property is located in the southwest corner, adjacent to the 118, I'm sorry, yes, 8th Avenue. My concern, or our concern, is that with moving the setback and moving the permanent structure of the pool And then in addition to that, moving the decking around it closer to the rear of the property, it's going to create a lot of flooding and flood into the rear properties behind that house. I was of the understanding that a variance was granted due to a hardship, and a hardship could not be created by the property owner. So my husband and I are against the variance for the reasons of flooding.
Thank you. Next is Joel, and I'm not sure, is it Rudix? Oh, okay, come forward. State your address.
116 9th Avenue, Indialantic. I'm the property directly behind this construction project on 115 8th.
Okay.
My objection to this is multifold, and I know I only got 3 minutes, so I'm going to sum this up. I've been watching this project go on from the very beginning, and I became concerned. I mean, they've built houses around here before, and they come and grade the sand, and they move it up a little bit. Even my house is up a foot of native sand. But they brought in truckloads of fill, the non-native material, and that kind of rang a bell right there. Then I came over and looked at the building plan. According to law, they did file that they raised the land 2 feet, okay? The material they used, in my opinion, and you maybe have to get another expert to look at, is impervious to rain, or maybe 80% of the rain that's going to land on it. It's composed of heavy shells, clay, rocks. I even found bits of ground-up concrete mixed in that stuff. And I took a little sample. The house is built on a plateau, and it appears that they graded it off maybe another foot lower out to the property lines. Now, you don't have to be a civil engineer to understand that water runs downhill. Plus, it's got a 9-foot peak roof, which is probably twice as high as all the surrounding roofs. And the house is huge. There isn't a house on our street that is built out to the limits. So there's going to be a lot of water coming down. I have watched the rain pour off that roof and hit that stuff, and it doesn't get absorbed up. It starts going this way. Some of it goes down, I don't know what percentage, but my backyard was getting soggy last time we had a couple rainstorms. And it's never happened before. I've lived there since 1972, when that was an empty lot. There was another house constructed there in the mid-'80s. No problem with that. It was a standard Florida home. They put in sand. I finally bought the property when my mother passed away 25 years ago, and I moved back up here. So I'm familiar with the property and what happens to it in rainstorms. I've been through 2 big hurricanes, and so I know what goes on here. I know how much water a big storm can produce. You put a tropical storm over us with 10 inches of rain, and my backyard's going to have water this deep. And I know that for a fact because a similar house was built next to a friend of mine's house down Melbourne Beach with the same kind of fill, and they have to have sump pumps in their backyard. I'm a state liquidator. I'm retired, but I have a state liquidation company. I work up all over this county, and I get in a lot of houses, and I work with Sotheby's and do a lot of houses for them. And we had a house up in Satellite Beach that I went up to liquidate, and it was high and dry. I'm in there, and I saw sump pumps in the bedrooms. And I didn't know what they were there for. It rained the day before the sale, and I went in there, and there was that much water in the living room. And I ran those pumps and got it swept out in time for the sale. But, we don't want to have to look at the worst-case scenario. They can't run the risk, because that would destroy our property values. On top of that, I did a little digging. I looked up state laws and statutes, and I found that the state of Florida has an overriding mandate requiring drainage plans.
Your time is up.
And there is no drainage plan. And also, Florida Power and Light has an easement of 10 feet, and they do not allow pools within 10 feet of their lines.
Thank you. Okay, next is Margot, and it's Neiman? Neiman? Okay, thank you. And
Margot Nyman.
okay.
We live at 110 9th Avenue on the southeast corner of the property at 115 8th. Like they have said, we have already had flooding in our back back corner of our yard from rains, from the way that this house has been built. And if this variance goes through and they are allowed to have a concrete pad much closer than it should be, we will most definitely flood. We have, my family has property behind Gemini Elementary School. And when we first bought it, it was level. And they built it up over time. And we had a little bit of flooding, but as soon as they added the concrete, the asphalt, that backyard floods every time. We had a mass flash flood years ago that we lost a lot of stuff. I just don't feel like you can come after the fact and say, I want to squeeze a pool in, when you had plenty of time to move the property up. You could have moved the house way up on the front of the property if you wanted to put a pool in the backyard. And like Joel was saying, FPL's according to the internet, FPL says you have to have 10 feet from the power lines to the edge of your pool. And there's no way with this variance, even with this variance, that they would have 10 feet to the power lines. And FPL owns those lines behind us.
Okay, thank you. Do I have another? Okay. And I have it Brian, and is it Jeanette? Okay, Brian, state your name and your address.
Brian Jeanette, 110 9th Avenue.
Okay.
I am in the southeast corner, yes, directionally challenged. I just wanted to reiterate that the FPL rules, as well as the other drain mitigation studies that Joel had mentioned, and also that Margot mentioned, that I strongly suggest that be looked into. I think that was part of the emails that we all collectively sent, which I hope you all read. The independent research that we held did find the FPO rules, as well as the drain mitigation rules, of which this pool variance would actually break. It would break that limitations. It is not within the limits, both of the FPO and the drain studies. And I also want to reiterate that with Margot, we have had firsthand experience with a flooding situation that was not only costly to person and property, but psychologically just overwhelming. And if that can be avoided because someone just thought of adding a pool as a secondhand thought, I believe that would be appropriate. So, thank you.
Any further public comment?
Board members, I do want to just
Go
go
ahead.
ahead and verify that we did receive 3 emails in opposition. I believe we heard from 2 of the 3 authors already tonight, but just for the record, Joel Ruth, Conan and Linda Popovich, and Brian Jeanette, all 3 of them sent emails opposing the variance request.
Okay. So any further public comment? Okay, we're closing public comment, and I'll let the builder come back.
I just want to say, first and foremost, the house is not final graded yet, so I can't attest for the soil that's outside of it right now, because it just kind of is a byproduct of digging the concrete. You push it off the edge when you're digging everything, and then probably next week we'll be out there clearing and scraping up everything, and that's when we put in organic material so you can get plants to grow inside of it. But overall, I'm here to ask on behalf of my customer, so I can't say that I think it's the world's best idea to ask for a variance because you afterthought about a pool, but I am asked to do so, so I'm going to go and try to make the best that I can out of it. Overall, the way we usually look at a pool too, though, is that it actually does catch water, so it's not going to be like flooding out the property. And our intent is always to match the drainage that are required for the town, so I can't say. Regardless, I want to make sure it's right for everybody, so I'm not going to flood you guys out.
Excuse me, I have a question. Sure. Did the property owners consider changing the dimension of the pool?
Sure. It's just that at some point when it becomes like less than 10 feet and then you start trying to get machinery back there, it gets really tight. and they're a little bit of an elderly couple, so their intent was to have something that's very functional and easy to get in and out of, and then the size requirements do make it a little bit tighter, so that's why they were kind of recommended to go and ask for variance.
So it looked to me like actual pool dimensions were not there, but I derived it's about 10 feet in width.
I believe right now it's at like, the pool width would be 14 something or 15 feet. And we can always get closer to the house, but as a risk towards the house, we try not to get closer than 5 feet because you can start undermining the house, and then it's kind of not good for anybody.
All right, so current design is 15 feet in
Current
width?
design is 15 feet, and we can always shrink it back to 10, but that was their decision.
And, well, excuse me. So what you're saying also is, so you're saying counter to what we heard, you have not brought fill into that property?
So, yes, we brought fill into the property, and
Okay.
you can't use like organic material to build underneath the house.
Correct.
So we use dirt that's locally, it's actually from a pit that's pretty close by here, and it has like a clay marl to it, so it's better for building a house on, so you don't get settlement cracks and stuff later on. That is not the fill that we use for the yard. So what we do right now, after the trades are done, is we come back in and we have a yard scrape, and then the machine comes and scrapes all the material from around the site and starts pitching it the correct direction. Right now, it's just a byproduct of people using a shovel and getting it off the house so that they can stucco and paint all the way down to the ground. So it's not the end-all grade right now.
I have a question on the dimensions.
Yes, sir.
So looking at the lot lines, it looks like it's 22.1 feet from the south end of the house to the south end property line. If the pool is 15 feet, that would leave 7 feet total, 5 feet from the wall, which means the pool decking would actually be 2 feet from the end of the property line, not the requested 4 feet 11 inches.
I didn't remember the dimension, so don't quote me on that. I just know that if I didn't have the variance and it's 22 feet, I could end up with I was like 11 foot something is what I ended up with. It was almost 12 feet. So I think they were asking for a little bit more to see if they can get the pool to be around 15 feet.
So there's no actual dimensions of the pool?
They're asking for the variance to work backwards, because we can always push the pool towards the house.
Okay.
But I also am, I'm on behalf of the homeowner at a last minute request too, so I'm not the one asking for the variance.
Gotcha. Cliff, the 4 foot 11 inch variance, is that from the pool deck or the pool itself?
That's the water line of the pool itself.
And the 2 feet is the deck?
The deck, yes.
2 feet of variance.
Yeah.
Right.
Cliff, another quick question for you is the issue of the power lines they brought up.
There's another caveat to that, because if it measures a certain amount up, and you'd have to ask FPL, I can't remember exactly what it is. If it's a certain amount up, there's an arc they go by. So it's not just the 10 feet, and most of the lines here are high enough to meet that requirement.
Is there a verification on that, or a means of verifying that? I mean, I guess you have to go
Call
to
FPL.
If FP&L doesn't approve it, then they can't do it regardless.
Okay, but
We've had it happen before where it was too close and we had to figure out how to move the service from the house and stuff like that, so. Has FB&L been contacted? Not until we're, even remotely close to that.
Okay. But they can, yes, go ahead.
So we don't do anything particularly, to get ready for the situation until we're actually positive that this is the direction we're gonna go. And then at that point, what we do is we propose, we send a site plan similar to what you have with our pool and our backyard and whatever we're doing on the site, send that to FPL, they send that to their engineers, and then the engineers come field verify, make sure there's adequate power, make sure there's no dangers or threats or anything like that, and then they release it. But if there's anything that causes it, they will not set your meter and they won't do the underground work, so.
It's more of a verification the contractor goes through than us. because we're not the one building the pool. They have to do it, and it's, like you said, they won't turn the power on if it's not meeting.
And I did have a question from one of the, I'll let you come forward and ask a question if you had a,
Yeah, I was going to add to that,
State your
the
name.
area is only 22 feet wide.
State your
Oh,
name.
it's Joel Ruth, R-U-T-H, 116 9th Avenue. And my observation is, having run a tape measure across there, there's 22 feet, that's accurate. And they propose to put a solid concrete sleeve up to 2 feet of the fence, and all that water's gonna go off and flood into our yard anyway. It's even more impervious than the stuff that's on there. The swimming pool can only be drained if the owners are cognizant and smart enough to know how to lower the water. I've got friends with pools, and during hurricanes, they lower the water. But some elderly people forget, or they don't do it. And we don't need to go through the risk of them just not getting around to it or fleeing and forgetting to do it before they evacuate the island, okay? So this poses all kinds of hazards, as far as we're concerned. And a lot of what ifs, and maybe if they all remember and do this or that, you know, yeah. But no, we're adamantly against it. We've seen the results of this happening in other places. As far as his fill material, I don't know if they ever planned to remove it or not until we brought the issue up, because I didn't see it in their plan to remove it or regrade it.
Just to clarify, the final grading has not been done, and that does have to be done, and the swales put in. That's always a given. So that has not, the final grade has not been done.
And it's in the plans for a proper swale to maintain the water on the property?
There's basic drainage in there, yes, but we don't get into a whole lot with residential because we don't have an engineering department. So we don't have that ability to engineer drainage or to review it or to inspect it. I don't think that's what we're here for anyways.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? Anybody wish to make a motion?
I have some comments to make. So, as somebody who has built a pool at their house with extremely small lot lines, personally speaking, mine is 3.5 feet from the house and 7 feet wide, so it is possible to do that. So I understand wanting to request it, but in my opinion, the request going all the way 2 feet from the fence line is kind of unnecessary and doesn't meet the practical difficulty or the unnecessary hardship requirements. Just my personal thoughts on that. So there are other alternatives where you could, shorten that request to a 7-foot wide pool and continue the 5 foot, around. So if you do that, then there's no variance at all required. Or you shorten it to 3.5 feet from the house and keep your 10-foot pool, and there's still no variance required. So there are alternatives to that that would appease the neighbors most likely at this point.
Any other discussion, any other commentary? Okay. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion to deny the variance.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, sorry.
No, it's not for me, it's for my customers.
Okay. What's that?
Call it adjourned.
Yes, meeting adjourned. Thank you. Kind of somewhere else. Yeah. Okay.